Bergen Community College presents Bergen Bulldog Radio. Torch TV, FiOS Channel 26. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Bergen Community College.
Welcome to Bergen Bulldog Radio Live for the week of April 2nd, 2026. I'm your host, Riley Hamilton. Bergen Bulldog Radio is a weekly news magazine program produced by the radio production class on Paramus campus of Bergen Community College. Each week, our program will bring insight to the current topics here on campus of the New Jersey's largest community college. On this week's program for Bergen Bulldog Focus segment will be featured Movies vs. Streaming. We are glad you joined us today. Now let's get all caught up with the latest news around Bergen Community College.
I'm Lorena Nunez-Cruz.
And I'm Yuri Naradeyev, and this is Bergen Bulldog News.
TSA agents have begun receiving some pay after going weeks without due to a partial government shutdown. As of today, Newark Liberty International Airport reports waits of 10 to 20 minutes, and LaGuardia reporting wait times of about an hour, which is way faster than last week. And the Bergen County Jail is now at the center of a federal lawsuit following the death of 29-year-old Kadir McRae. His mother claims he did not receive proper medical attention while recovering from gunshot wounds. He was later found unresponsive in his cell. Officials have not responded yet, and the case is ongoing.
A car crash shocked ice cream customers yesterday in Long Branch. A white SUV drove into Nicholas Creamery, causing major damage. Police have not confirmed the cause or if there are any injuries. The incident is raising safety concerns in busy shopping areas. A Rutgers graduate has filed a class action lawsuit accusing Rutgers University of gross negligence in athletic finances. The suit claims over $500 million in debt since joining the Big Ten in 2014 with reliance on taxpayer funding. Rutgers says it will respond through the legal process and notes athletics make up about 3% of its budget. Here in Paramus, spring is finally here, and DPW crews are getting ready for road maintenance. Mayor Christopher D. Piazza announced that street paving and pothole repairs will begin soon. He added that the council is continuing to invest in road improvements to enhance safety and conditions. In Bulldog Bus and Entertainment News.
The Easter Bunny is hopping over to Paramus this weekend. On Saturday, April 4, from 12 to 2 p.m., Paramus Recreation will host an Easter event at Petruska Park. Stop by for pictures, snacks, music, and entertainment. A major art exhibit is coming to Bergen County this month. Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, the exhibition is set to open to the public on Friday, April 10 at Westfield Garden State Plaza in Paramus. The exhibit will feature reproductions of Michelangelo's iconic frescoes, along with storyboards and audio guides. And with warmer weather approaching and pool season almost here, Paramus has open registration for their pool today.
Want to break into the entertainment world? Well, here's your big chance. Netflix is casting extras for a feature film titled AIG, filming in New Jersey and New York City. Roles include DJs, Secret Service agents, FBI agents, and party guests. Extras can make up to $260 per day. The casting runs through the spring with locations including Jersey City and Red Bank.
And that's what's happening here at Bergen Community College. For Bergen Bulldog News, I'm Lorena Nunez-Cruz.
And I'm Yuri Naradeyev. Thank you for listening. Up next, Bergen Bulldog Focus.
Deadlines, exams, works, and responsibilities can add up quickly. April is National Stress Awareness Month, a reminder that stress affects millions of people every day. Take time for yourself, even if it's just a few minutes, to breathe, stretch, and step outside can make a huge difference. Talking with a friend, getting enough sleep, or taking a short break during the day can also help manage your stress. Remember, taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. This April, take a moment to check in with yourself and prioritize your well-being. Watching Bergen Bulldog Radio Live from Bergen Community College here on Torch TV, FiOS Channel 26, and the Bergen Bulldog Radio YouTube channel. And that's time for Bergen Bulldog Focus.
theaters like Metro.
Hello, I'm Lillian Venskis, along with Jaden Mercado and Michael Richardson, and this is Bergen Bulldog Focus. Today we are discussing the changing habits of movie watching and the current debate of theater versus home viewing. In 2026, the American movie-going experience is undergoing a profound transformation. It is no longer our default routine. According to filmmaker Nigel Camp in his 2026 report on streaming versus cinema trends, streaming now dominates our daily lives, while the cinema survives by being selective. A survey cited by Camp puts the preference gap plainly. 46% of Americans prefer watching films at home, while only 15% choose the theater. But to understand this shift, we have to look past the screens themselves. Nigel Camp argues that the real change isn't about platform preference, but about the viewing contract. This is the unspoken agreement between the viewer and the room. In a theater, the contract is built on commitment and focus. As critic Christoph Huber notes, it is the exception to leave a movie theater once the film begins. Conversely, the streaming contract is built on routine and interruption. It allows us to stop instantly and watch around the edges of a busy day. Today, we look at the history of these contracts, from the talkies of the 30s to the modern event cinema of 2026. Our first great contract with the big screen began during the Hollywood Golden Age. According to History.com, the years between 1930 and 1944 were a wildly creative era where movies dominated mass entertainment. During these 15 years, more than 7,500 feature films were released. Even more staggering was the attendance. The number of Americans who watched at least one movie in a theater per week swelled to more than 80 million. This was the era of the studio system, where the big 8 companies controlled everything from the actors' contracts. Contract was broken by social change. Between 1947 and 1953, the American suburbs grew by 43%. Families moved away from downtown movie palaces and into homes equipped with a new rival, the television. By the 1960s, more than half of all American homes had a TV, and the original theatrical golden age was effectively dead. Cinema eventually found a second modern peak. According to the Pew Research Center, the high-water mark for modern ticket sales in the U.S. and Canada was 2002. That year, theaters sold a record 1.6 billion tickets, averaging nearly 5 tickets per person. Data from Nash Information Services, cited by Pew, shows that box office revenue also hit an all-time high in 2002, earning $16.4 billion in constant 2025 dollars. We were a nation of frequent viewers. Gallup data shows that between 2001 and 2007, U.S. adults saw an average of 4.8 movies in a theater every year. If you were a young adult under 30 in 2007, you were likely seeing an incredible 9.1 movies annually. But a drift was already beginning as early streaming services emerged. Even before the 2020 pandemic, at-home options were already resulting in lower attendance. Then came the 2020 pandemic, which dealt a sharp blow to the industry. The Pew Research Center reports that domestic ticket sales plunged 81% in a single year. By 2021, Gallup recorded that a historically high 61% of Americans did not visit a movie theater at all. This is where the viewing contract shifted permanently. According to Civic Science, a new normal was established where 65% of U.S. adults now prefer to watch newly released movies for the first time at home. Nigel Camp explains that streaming won because it removes friction. The home contract asks for almost nothing beyond pressing play. At home, films must compete with distraction and the ease of stopping, whereas in the theater, they benefit from a room full of people giving a story their undivided time. The cost has also changed the agreement. Data from the Associated Press and NORC Center for Public Affairs Research shows the average movie ticket has hit $13.17. In a Civic Science poll, 27% of people cited ticket prices as the reason they stay away, while 30% blamed a lack of interest in the content. So where does that leave the theater in 2026? it leaves it as an occasion. Nigel Camp argues that while streaming is optimized for routine, cinema is now optimized for impact. We see this in the data. The Walt Disney Company reported that Avatar, Fire and Ash surpassed $1 billion globally by January 2026. People still go, but they go for things the living room cannot replicate: scale, sound, and social energy. According to the Harvard Gazette, Professor Nathan Roberts suggests we're seeing a ritual aspect of cinema grow. For those who take it seriously, it's about collective intimacy, the psychological thrill of reacting to a story with a full house. This is why immersive venues like the Las Vegas Sphere are thriving. Sphere Entertainment Company reported in January 2026 that its Wizard of Oz experience sold over 2 million tickets. The era of the couch potato may have won the battle for our daily minutes. Global Web Index says we now stream for an average of 1 hour and 22 minutes a day. But for the event film, the big screen is still the intended way to see the story. As the AP NORC poll reminds us, younger adults are still the most active theatergoers, attending for the interactive audience and the bigger things. The theater contract has become more expensive and more selective, but in 2026, it remains the only place where the shared moment still truly lives.
This is Michael Richardson. Last week, I spoke with students and staff here at Bergen Community College to learn more about their movie watching habits and see if their views align with historical trends and industry predictions. The rise of streaming services such as Netflix and Amazon Prime have had an undeniable impact on movie theaters, transforming when, how, and why people watch movies. Let's hear a little more about what the rest of Bergen Community College has to say. Participants were first asked, when was the last time you went to a movie theater?
It was at least a year ago, I think. Maybe I went to see a movie last summer.
Last month.
Wow, it feels like so long ago. I would have to say it's been at least a year.
I went a few weeks ago, actually, for the AMC. There's an AMC showcase that showed all of the Oscar Best Picture nominations, so I went there one of the days for that.
I want to say it was last year.
Sunday.
Actually, the last time I went to the movie theater was this past Sunday. I went to go see Project Hail Mary with a group of my friends.
The responses are pretty evenly split, with half the participants recalling theater visits from almost a year prior, and the other half citing much more recent visits within the past few weeks. Second, participants were asked if they prefer watching movies at home or in theaters. Their answers are as follows.
I think it kind of depends on the movie. I would say most movies I am okay watching them at home, but if it's a movie I'm really excited about, I do still like to go to see it in theaters.
At home.
I would have to say I prefer to watch movies at home. I like to be comfortable, and it's just easier for me to stay at home.
Theaters.
There's like the classic, like I'm just watching it within theaters and just like seeing like the reactions of like different people around you. But I don't mind watching it at home, especially if I have like free time to do so.
It really depends. I personally like going to the movie theater, but sometimes it's too expensive.
I could do both. I love movies, but I do prefer to see a movie in the theater.
Some preferred watching movies at home and others like watching in theaters. The most popular response was actually in favor of a mix of the two, with many participants noting that each movie watching option has its pros and cons, and their preference largely depends on the situation. Next, we asked, what makes you choose one over the other?
It really depends on how excited I am about the movie and what type of movie it is. If it's like a really big, awesome IMAX experience, then I would go see that in theaters, and I would want to go see that in theaters versus something a little less serious, so like a rom-com or whatever. I could probably watch that at home.
Cheaper. Got all the snacks.
I guess, like I said, just the comfort of my home, the ease of not having to go to the actual theater, And the fact that I can be in my home and feel comfortable and snuggle up on the couch and not have to watch a movie with strangers that might be distracting.
The slushies.
I don't really choose one or the other, but I do like the whole the whole theater experience, because you're getting to like watch it with like a few other people and seeing their reactions to it at the same time.
Just like the price point, really, and also getting the transportation, getting to the movie theater.
It all depends on like what kind of experience I'm looking for. If it's a new film and I know it's supposed to look great, it's supposed to sound great, I like being in a theater atmosphere. There's something magical about being in a movie theater with a lot of people enjoying the experience at the same time.
Reasons for choosing to watch movies at home included affordability, comfort and ease, not having to interact with strangers, more control over things such as snacks, company, and environment, and overall convenience. Meanwhile, reasons for choosing to watch in theaters included wanting to show support and share in the excitement of big movie events, wanting to see films shot for IMAX screens at the scale they were intended, sharing the experience of watching a film with other audience members, and being able to purchase classic theater concessions such as slushies. We then inquired if price was a specific factor in participants' choices. Their answers are as follows.
Oh, definitely. Movie tickets are expensive. I mean, if it's a good movie, sometimes it's worth it, but I can't afford to be going to everything.
Yes.
Most definitely. Movie theater tickets are out of this world now. I really don't understand how they can get as much money as they can for a show. So I would have to say I pick and choose what movies I see at the theater.
Well, it depends, because sometimes my parents would pay for the movie theaters, sometimes I would, my brother would. So it depends. We don't eat a lot of stuff at the movies. So, yeah.
Price isn't usually a factor, but I haven't been going to the movie theaters as of late, mainly due to the fact that there's not really much movies coming out that I want to see.
Yes.
When I was a little bit younger, yes, back then they used to do like movie Tuesdays. They'd have $5 tickets. I'd watch a new movie every single week. But nowadays, I'll pick and choose my spots. Like if I want to see, like I saw Project Hail Mary in an IMAX, which is a little more expensive, but that's because I was with a group of friends. If I'm going by myself, usually doesn't matter. I'll see any theater, any quality.
This question received a range of responses. However, the general consensus does seem to be that the increasing costs of tickets plays a role in people's decisions to see a film in theaters. We conclude our interviews by asking participants if there are movies they prefer to only see in theaters.
Like, I used to follow the Marvel movies. I used to try to go see all of them in theaters. And I kept up with it for a while. To be honest, now at this point though, I feel like I kind of got tired of it. There were so many of them. Now I don't know if I care as much, but I used to pretty religiously go to see all the new Marvel movies in theaters.
Whatever the kids want to see.
I would have to say yes. There are certain movies that you definitely need to go to the theater to actually feel and receive that full experience. Seeing, like Avatar, or seeing some type of like scenic type movie is best when you have it on a large screen.
Yeah, like horror, suspense, scary movies, yeah.
It's not really much that are out right now. If there is, then I'll go see it, but most of the films I've been seeing lately have been like older stuff that I've been watching online and stuff like that.
If it's a really hyped up movie, then yeah, I want to see it in the theater. But if it's something else, then I can watch it at home.
Whenever there's a new Batman, I make sure to see it for the first time in the theater. Anything else, like any other superhero movie, I could wait, but something like with a lot of hype, like say Project Hail Mary, Oppenheimer, or maybe some foreign film that I can't see on streaming, or like if I have to bootleg it and see it in bad quality, I'll try to see that in the theater. But I could rewatch anything at home, but there's sometimes a movie, like you got to see it in the theater and get that experience.
Today's interviewees were almost split down the middle in terms of preference for watching movies at home versus at a theater, which mirrors the larger trend we see of 46% of modern audiences now claiming to prefer watching movies at home. That being said, despite the shift in favor of streaming, many of the responses shared the sentiment that they would still prefer to go to theaters to watch movies with unique sensory experiences, large spectacle-style events, or specific genres of interest.
Hi, I'm Jade Mercado, and to find out more about the fight between streaming and theaters, I wanted to talk to someone that would be able to share their experiences with film and moviegoing throughout the years. I wanted this person to not only interact with film, but to be someone who was absolutely in love with the medium. I found this someone in cinema studies professor Greg Bierman. Greg Bierman is both a professor at Bergen and an experimental filmmaker. He has been teaching at Bergen for almost 30 years and released his latest film, Personal Effects, last year. I was lucky enough to sit down with him and traverse his mind about the evolution of moviegoing and how cinemas are slowly becoming more event-based than a weekly ritual. Professor Greg Bierman, your film has recently started to screen Personal Effects. Mm-hmm. You screened it in the college and also at the Barrymore Film Center in Fort Lee, is that right?
Yep.
So, since you've put it out, you've seen people watch it in theaters, how have you seen audiences change when watching movies?
I've noticed that students and audiences in regular movies, commercial theaters and so forth, are much more easily distracted. And that maybe has to do with the technology that in which they consume images and audio. I remember a situation where I gave a student, let's say in a film class, a choice whether to hand the phone to me for the rest of the class or leave and drop the course. Because they kept looking at the phone instead of watching the film. You know, and this happened over and over again until I got fed up and said, okay, just give me the phone, and they wouldn't. They would rather, they're so used to being distracted by the device or to have their attention split between the world and the device that the idea of not being in that situation was so terrifying that they'd rather just drop the course than have to do that. And so one of the things I like to do in film classes is provide a situation in which students can watch a film from beginning to end in darkness with no interruption, no fragmentation, you know, in a seated position where they're really kind of communing and taking a film seriously as a kind of work in time, and they're with it for 2 hours. And it may be that some films really require that kind of attention, and then they give back to you once you have given it that attention, right? They give back, you know, as much as you give to it.
When it comes to now seeing movies, not as a filmmaker, but as the general audience, going to the average movie theater, how do you think price factors into that?
I think probably, you know, for the things that were in the most recent Academy Awards nominations, a lot of them I waited to see. And I go to screenings usually that are special. So I probably don't go to AMC very often or regular commercial theaters, but I do go to
theaters like Metrograph.
Right,
repertory screenings.
Right, repertory screenings, right. Places like the Barrymore Center. So all of those kinds of things, or screenings for me, are more fun to attend than just like a regular movie screening. And those I tend to, I don't know if it's because of the prices, but that may be part of it too. Yeah. Unless there's a film that I know is going to be great, you know, that there's kind of great sensory experience in the film, like kind of like, you know, like the Revenant, it comes to mind just randomly. But I remember thinking, oh yeah, this really makes sense to see here in the theater because, you know, it's such a sensory experience that you know, it's not about talking as much as it is about like the imagery itself, you know, the nature of the sound, you know, and all that subtle kind of visual stuff.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
For Bergen Bulldog Focus, I'm Jaden Mercado, signing off.
Deadlines, exams, works, and responsibilities can add up quickly. April is National Stress Awareness Month, a reminder that stress can affect millions of people every day. Take time for yourself. Even a few minutes to breathe, stretch, or step outside can make a big difference. Talking with a friend, getting enough sleep, or taking a short break during the day can also help manage your stress. Remember that taking care of your mental health isn't just important as taking care as your physical health. This April, take a moment to check in with yourself and prioritize your well-being. Deadlines, exams, works, and responsibilities.
Bergen Stages presents Hair, the American tribal love rock musical on stage at the Anna Maria Saccone Theater on the Paramus campus of Bergen Community College. Hair celebrates 1960s counterculture, exploring ideas of identity, community, and peace. Hair the musical performance dates are Friday and Saturday, April 3rd and 4th, and Thursday through Saturday, April 9th to 11th at 7:30 p.m., with Saturday matinee performances at 2. Make sure to buy your tickets at the door or in advance at theaters@bergen.ludus.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bergen Bulldog Live. In Dog Pound Sports this week, just yesterday on April 1st, the Bulldogs baseball team played against Camden County College and won, ending with the final score being 10-5. Great job, team. Coming up this Friday, April 3rd, the Bulldogs are back on the diamond, facing off against the Atlantic Cape Community College Buccaneers right here on campus. Make sure to tune in at 3:30 p.m. and lend your support to our Bulldogs. College basketball is starting to heat up as the NCAA Men's Final Four tips off this Saturday, April 4th in Indianapolis. For the semifinals, the matchups are number 2 UConn versus number 3 Illinois at 6:09 p.m., followed by number 1 Michigan versus number 1 Arizona at 8:49 p.m. And don't miss the action in the MLB this weekend as well. The New York Yankees open a home series against the Miami Marlins starting Friday afternoon at 1:35 at Yankee Stadium, with more games Saturday night and Sunday afternoon, while the New York Mets are on the road, taking on the San Francisco Giants all weekend. Now let's check in with Melody for the latest forecast and see what kind of weather we'll have for all of these games. Take it away.
Thanks, Evan. Here in Bergen County, today's weather forecast is going to be a high of 51 degrees with a low of 42. There is a small chance of rain. Following up with this weekend, make sure to get some fresh air Friday as the weather is expected to go up to high 60s with a low of 42. There will be partial sunshine later in the day. Saturday, the high will be in the low 70s with a low of 49. It is anticipated that there will be small periods of rain showers in the early morning. It is also expected to be a cloudy weekend. Easter Sunday, bring your umbrellas as there is a large chance of spring showers with a low of 49 and a high of 67. And that's what's happening here at Bergen Community College. For Bergen Bulldog News, I'm Melody D. Forge.
And I'm Evan Talane.
Thanks for listening.
Bergen students, are you ready to take the next step towards your future? Join us in the Student Center for 2 exciting events this April. First, on Tuesday, April 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., check out the Spring College Fair. Meet representatives from in-state and out-of-state colleges and universities and explore transfer programs, scholarships, and opportunities waiting for you. Then, on Wednesday, April 15th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., don't miss the Spring Career Fair. Connect with local employers offering internships, part-time, and full-time positions. Bring your resume, dress business casual, and get ready to network. For more information, email careercenter@bergen.edu.
Bergen Bulldog Radio was engineered by Jordan Burrell and Jaden Mercado. Bergen Bulldog Focus segment was by Jaden Mercado, Michael Richardson, and Lillian Bankus. Newsletters were Lorraine Nunez-Cruz and Yuri Nerdon. Sports and weather by Evan Terrell and Melody DeForge. Our Bergen mascot is Jameson. If you missed any portion, this program will be repeated at various times here on Torch TV Fios Channel 26 through Sunday, April 5th. It'll be available on YouTube, Bergen Bulldog Radio channel. The next edition will air beginning Thursday, April 9th at 3 p.m. The executive producer, Bergen Bulldog Radio, is Professor Robert Williams. I'm your host, Riley Hamilton. Thank you for joining us on Bergen Bulldog Radio.